First we scraped off the baddies that clung in barnacles. In death of the selves, we mourned for who we were. And now we rise and become. Welcome back to Cosmic Coffee. I'm Nikki Graham. Who is your higher self? There might be some confusion when I say higher self. What exactly does that mean? Who is it? Well, I'll tell you who it isn't. It's not some ascended master in a robe floating above you with your face. It is the part of you who's always been there and was there before the world told you who to be. It's the voice inside you that is calm when your mind is panicked. It's when you set a boundary and you stick to it regardless of the other person's reaction. And it's that feeling inside of you that said, yes, this was the right thing to do for me. It's not snowing. My neighbor's cottonwood tree is doing its yearly spooge. I'm going to be getting those fuzzies in my mouth this whole time. Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, your higher self. It doesn't shame you no matter what the rest of your life has brought you or what you put it through. It waits for you. And the good thing is, it doesn't collect all the garbage or the barnacles that you've collected along the way. I've recently had my own experience where this was made completely evident to me. I'll share that later on segment. But yeah, and it's not going to push you to do anything that doesn't feel natural to you. It's going to pull you back to what feels like home. Your higher self leaves breadcrumbs in the forms of curiosity and longing and synchronicities, and that deep, full body yes when something finally feels right to you. It's that feeling you get like you're finally breathing your own air and not the neighbor's cottonwood fuzz. I can't tell you who your higher self is. That's for you to decide or for you to search within and meet again. But I can give you some ways to recognize when you are in your higher self mode. First of all, it's going to feel peaceful. It's not going to feel performative. And you're going to be making choices based on your values, even if they're not the easiest. And you're going to be making decisions with yourself and not for the approval of others. And you're going to have this inner peace. You're going to feel inner peace in quiet ways. And when that inner flame doesn't flicker by someone else's wind, that's when you're in higher self mode. It's when you take a moment to observe before you react. That's your higher self working. And the biggest one is when you're not trying to be perfect for yourself or for anyone else. You're just trying to be real. Your higher self isn't some stranger on a mountaintop waiting for you to show up. They've been with you all along, behind the masks, behind your survival mode, and humming a little song that you almost forgot the words to. So you don't become your higher self, you remember. This stick. I would like to be very clear that your higher self is not far away. And the good news is it's not much work. It's actually less work. How do you know when you're feeling that? Well, it's when you tell the truth, even though your voice is shaking. Or it's when you say the thing without looking around for people's reactions, so maybe you would shrink back a little bit. No, it's not shrinking back anymore. It feels bombastic. It feels so fun and free, and That's why I'm doing these silly little videos in my backyard. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper to this feeling. I'm going to tell you how to get it. I have this camera set on a lofty hill. I can't tell if it's straight. So if I'm a little wonky today, sorry. I can't get the perspective right. Anyways, um, so when you start making bold choices, and just like really feeling good about these decisions, regardless of anyone else's reaction to them, and when you start behaving in a way that just feels peaceful, little synchronicities are going to start lining up, and you're going to get like these emotional clicks that it just feels right. um Synchronicities, when you are just finally letting go and finally moving on into just being yourself, you're going to see little things. I mean, that just if you notice them, people like see butterflies. uh that's one, butterflies. So it's like, they get the cocoon stage where you're literally nothing, and then you emerge what you're supposed to be. That's a good sign. I don't know about these like 777 222, all these like numbers that I see on these like clickbait type YouTube shows. Type 777 to manifest your riches. These numbers, they don't do anything. See, I had a little like, I was always laughing about these numbers because my synchronicities were never numbers. I mean, one time it was like, I don't know, when it was one of those mornings after I just kind of had a little meditation, was going through my early transition. I walk outside and it was winter, and I look up the barren tree and I see just these fractal patterns in the branches, and I'm noticing the patterns that are just repeating fractals, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I was like, hey, I bet that's the thing. All right, cool. And then I was walking along later on, and the snow was like ice on top. So it was like kind of melting a little bit under the sun. And I was noticing the melting pattern in my eyes. They turned into fractals too. No, I wasn't on drugs. They just did that. And it was like, all right, I took that as a sign. Um, so you'll know it's a synchronicity. You'll just like, and don't question it. If you don't brush it off, if you think, oh, that's a synchronicity, now no, it's not. It is. And kind of relish in the moment for a bit, like, hey, nice. The universe's little signal that you're going in the right direction. So how do you get from point A to point Z? Point A being where you are now, which is aware of your higher self and the longing to realign with them, and Z, the full alignment. And the reason I say Z and not B is because the path along the way is full of its own chapters and detours and side roads and side quests and all that other fun stuff. And you really should be journaling them, or, keeping track of them in one way or another, because it's one of the most important paths that you're probably going to take. And how do we make that first step? How do we get a little bold? Well, first of all, get bold. Just do it. Start dressing like your higher self, even in small ways. Even if you see your higher self wearing something you don't have, or something you're like, oh, I can't afford that. Get close. Just wear what feels freeing. Don't wear what's in fashion unless it totally resonates with you. I mean, that's cool. I mean, if that ska phase came back, I'd probably be on that again. I like those glasses. Make decisions that your higher self would make. Speak in their voice. Speak in their tone of voice. Speak with their clarity and confidence. Even if it feels a little alien to you, it just takes the effort. Just do it. If you're still feeling a little uncertain about taking that first step, what does it take to take that first step? Just start behaving like the higher self. Just even if it feels unnatural. I mean, if it feels like you're forcing it, if it feels like something's still holding you back, just do it. And if you're still in a place where it's like, oh, I can't, I don't know, then you need to go back do barnacles, and you need to do that to the selves because we're moving on. We're aligning now. So, so basically, you just start dressing like them, speak in their tone of voice, speak with their confidence, speak with their sureness, and speak with their wisdom, speak with their peace, speak with their humor. Express yourself as they would express themselves. And blind yourself to the reactions. Don't look for likes. Don't do it for likes. Do it for your likes. Become amused with yourself. Become impressed with yourself. And then other people will be amused and impressed or stunned or scared of you. The energy will be felt. Here's a little example of how that works. Excuse me. Humidity. It's really bad. When I first started my job that I have right now, and I'm a full time in a garden nursery center, and I love plants, and I know a lot about them because when I was a teenager, I started working in this nursery, but I started as a cashier, and I was there for a long time. And during that time, I learned a lot about plants, and I became passionate about them. I learned from master gardeners. I learned from reading, just growing in my own experience. So when I was standing behind the cash register and people would like ask a plant question and give them the answer, but I want to talk to an expert. It's like, okay, now the expert would give them the same information, and I would feel like I was looked at for just like it hurt my esteem. Really, is what it did. So, and this is many years later. I am only been working here a few months, but me with all my plant knowledge, I still went in there feeling a little insecure, second guessing myself, looking things up, even though I knew the answer anyways. But as I started becoming more sure, because customers' responses were like, "All right, thank you," instead of "Let me talk to somebody else." It was like, oh, "Okay," and then they started coming in looking for me, and that started to feel really good. And I was always second guessing if I was doing my job right because I enjoyed the crap out of it. I'm asking my boss like, "Is there anything else I'm supposed to be doing?" No, no, you're doing great. It's like, okay, and then I really felt like I kind of like aligned in a way with who I was supposed to be when that's, someone who's really good at gardening, knows a lot about plants. And I could go into about the significance of the sacred geometry patterns and the way they grow and how it's like they're the microcosm of the macrocosm. I could go on for hours about that. But that's, I'm passionate about it. So I just rambled a whole lot on. So now I go into work with this happy to be myself, happy to be me, confident to be there energy, and people they look at me, they smile, and I didn't used to get like people stopping, smiling, and saying hi to me before like that. Like people are glad that I'm there, and that feels really good. So that was a bit of alignment, just starting out. I had the insecurities, even though I knew my stuff. I just kept doing my stuff, just kept showing my knowledge, and it realigned. Okay, enough of that. Your higher self doesn't mean your occupation. Before you start thinking, oh, good, she aligned with Gardner. She's going to lead us the way. It's way more multifaceted than that. I wanted to use that as an example to show you just how non-linear the path to your higher self can be. Because I was a teenager, and I'm, well, definitely not one now. Now, when I am talking about performing, I don't always mean it in a negative or ego-based way. Sometimes we perform not because we're trying to be fake, but because we're trying to shift into alignment. We're aiming for a life that we're not fully living yet, but we want to. Think of it as putting on a song that makes you feel powerful before you enter a room. That's a big one for me. I love doing that. I got a little earbud in before I head into work. I got to pump myself up, get myself confident if I'm feeling low that morning, or if I haven't had time to do any sort of meditations that morning. Some of my power songs. What is it? Blur in the Technicolor by White Zombie. Weird Revolution by Butthole Surfers, and a whole laundry list full of Avenged Sevenfold songs. So I'm gonna say Unbound. I'll shout out that one. Unbound is basically, you gotta listen to that song, or at least read the lyrics. I mean, that just basically epitomizes like the inner feeling of freedom. So that's a song I'm really gonna recommend that you at least read the lyrics to or listen to, because they're, to me, the greatest band in the whole entire world. You have to keep in mind is why you're performing, so it doesn't become another mask and you have to start this process all over again. The higher self will wait for you. It's not going to strike you down or sulk or come back at you with bad karma if you don't show up for a day, or if you fall back into old habits for a little bit. It trusts you and knows that even on your messiest, most low energy days, that you're going to be still heading back home. All right, so I promised you a personal story earlier. Here it is. You see your after the spiritual awakening, you're going to have multiple like revelations or signs that you're aligning with your higher self. And it's not going to be a one-time thing, because there's so many layers to you. There's so many layers to your higher self. So each time you kind of click into an alignment with one aspect of it, you're going to get either a big wow revelation or a kind of oh sort of moment. This was one of those moments that had you on the floor at 2:30 in the morning, grabbing your chest, crying, trying to reach in and pull your inner child out so you can hug them. So that's in this meditation I had. It was a really deep meditation. I saw two images, and these images for some reason had stuck in my head for decades. They were like floating pieces, floating puzzle pieces that didn't have a spot to go into. And they resurfaced again during this meditation. They were the houses my parents were looking at when I was 13 instead of the one they did move into. And during the meditation, I was able to see a glimpse of the life I would have had if my parents had moved into each one. And they weren't very good. I mean, compared to what the childhood I did have, my formative years were in the best place my parents could have moved into. We moved into a nice area in the country, and I just felt finally, I guess, free to explore things that were beyond the five senses. I wanted so bad to have really good clairvoyance, to have ESP, to be psychic, and I also wanted so bad to feel inner peace, feel a freedom, and I wanted to be me more than anything, and to have people like me for not holding back. Well, decades later, that all came full circle. I'm expressing myself freely. I don't feel any pulls, in me at all, holding back because, someone might give me a side eye or something. I don't do that anymore. And I have found inner peace. And while I was a child, I did have, now that I think back, real hints of clairvoyance and ESP. But I was doing a lot of reading about it and not so much strengthening it. But decades now, full circle, I have a very strong clairvoyance, and I'm freely expressing myself, and I just feel good. I feel inner freedom. I feel, inner peace most of the time, just being myself. So that kind of signifies that it's not a linear path. You're not ascending up to your higher self, really. You're kind of coming around in a spiral. That's basically how everything, that's how energies work, really. It's a spiral. It's not a here to there. That's too third dimensional for the universe to work that way, So it's a spiral. You come back to yourself. You come back to who you were before the world told you who to be. But better, stronger, knowing some more things, being brave enough to be yourself without, what if they don't like me? Because I don't give a shit. You may not recognize your higher self at first, but sometimes they've been leaving breadcrumbs throughout the years. And sometimes they're the version that you're becoming that your younger self already saw. So don't rush the unfolding. Trust the remembering. And if it's quiet, that's not the end. That's just an echo of you circling back. So do some things for yourself, for your higher self. Look in the mirror and look at your higher self, talking to them in the mirror. Compliment them. Tell them how much you've longed to be them. And look at them and see the things that you need to do to become that person. What kind of change do you need to break to be this higher self? You can do a number of rituals if you've already are into occult practices. Listen to the music that makes you feel like the higher self. There's a number of things you can do. And I want to know your experiences. I would love to see some comments below, or if you have any questions, you can reach out. I'll answer. So just when you think you've stepped into who you truly are, that's when you start to notice some things that don't belong. And that's where we'll meet next, in the undoing. I'll see you there. Thank you, new subscribers, old subscribers, all of you. And again, I would like to really see some stories shared in the comments. Express yourself, don't be quiet. Want weirdos, misfits, broken souls. No stories too dumb, no stories too small. Just tell your story, ask questions. I'll check them, I'll answer them. The other people will answer them. Having a community here would be very nice, eventually. A future vision for the show. Anyways, I'll see you all next time. Till then, stay weird.